questions with from the gentleman from Illinois as well. I've had similar circumstances, and I fully understand. Quickly, if we assume that the question is which is best suited to use this $30 billion to increase lending to small businesses, banks or the SBA, I want to get some clarity to make sure we all understand where we are. Mr. Allison, would you say banks or SBA?
I'd like to turn to my colleague, Administrator Mills, for her answer first. And I'll be happy to answer.
Because time is of the essence, I'm going to have to ask that we answer, please.
I believe for a program of this scale, it can best be administered through this.
Sir, I hate to
program.
press you, but I have many questions. Banks or SBA? That's what the public wants to know. Banks or SBA?
For a program of this scale, I think the banks are best to get the money to businesses quickly. And
yes, sir.
I
I understand. The rationale is great. I just need to know whether you're saying banks or SBA. I take it you're saying banks.
I'm saying banks.
All right. Ms. Mills.
Both banks and SBA loan guarantee programs are needed. There's two reasons why.
For this $30 billion, because we need some clarity from you as to where you are. Are you saying banks or SBA for the $30 billion?
There's two problems we're trying to solve.
I
One is
understand
banks
the
don't
problems.
have-
Can you give me
Yeah.
what I want is your position on whether the banks, this is what we're trying to come to some conclusion about, banks or SBA. If you give me nebulous notions when you leave, I won't know exactly where you are. So would you kindly tell me banks or SBA?
We support $30 billion from Treasury
I'm going to take it
banks.
that I cannot get a direct answer. Let's go on to Ms. Duke, please.
I believe that the biggest problem is the credit risk the banks aren't willing to take, and therefore I would say SBA.
SBA.
SBA, and particularly the
You're-
504 program
that's fine.
on
You're an
commercial
SBA
real estate.
person, okay? Mr. Dugan?
SBA.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Gruenberg?
I don't think I'm in a position to make a judgment on that.
No position. Mr. Bowman?
Banks and thrifts.
Banks and thrifts. All right, thank you very much. Now, let me come back to you, Ms. Mills, for something else, and I'm not badgering you. I have learned that if I don't ask questions that give me a yes or no answer, I sometimes assume people mean yes when they've actually been trying to communicate no in a very nice way. So now, with this said, you mentioned a 90% loan guarantee. Is it important, you think, to indicate and let the public know that this is not a 90% guarantee of the loan, but rather 90% of the loss? Because if there are assets to cover losses that may make the loan totally covered with the assets, the losses, then the government doesn't lose any money, the taxpayers don't lose any money. Is that correct?
It's 90% of the loan.
Of the loan, not of the loss.
Correct.
So if the loan defaults and the borrower has assets that are going to be used to satisfy some portion of the loss, don't you subtract that from the loss itself?
It's pari passu for the whole loan, so we take 90% and the bank takes 10.
I understand, but I'm talking about how
Yes.
it actually works. Won't the assets that are available be taxed as well as a part of the loss?
Yes, and
Okay.
they'll be
As an offset?
As an offset for 90% going to the SBA guarantee,
Yes.
10% to the bank.
So what I'm trying to communicate is that there are assets that will be used to offset some of these losses as well.
Correct.
Okay, that's important because it can come across as though we're talking about 100% of the 90% being used and that there will be no offsets with assets. That's what I'm trying to get into the record. All right, thank you very much. Now, Mr. Allison, you mentioned that Tier 1 capital would be used, some of this $30 billion could be used for Tier 1 capital. Is it true that Tier 1 capital is not capital that you lend, but rather capital that you maintain to be fully capitalized?
Tier 1 capital refers to the amount, the base of the
Do you
permanent-
lend Tier 1 capital?
Well, you can lend Tier 1 capital, but Tier 1 capital can be leveraged
I
to
understand.
support a great deal more lending.
When we capitalize the big banks, they took that money and they did not use it for lending. They used it to become fully capitalized to help prevent runs on banks. Is this true?
In some cases,
Yes. Okay. Is this money that the $30 billion, will the banks be able to lend it, or will they be able to, or will they use it to become fully capitalized, or will they use it for both?
We have talked to many of the banks. We are confident that if they receive this capital, given the incentives in this program, where the dividend rate drops dramatically if they use the money for lending, we're confident that they're going to use this money and help to lend to small businesses. We expect a significant increase in their lending because this amount of capital can increase their total capital by 30 to 50%.
Thank you. My time is up, and I don't want to encroach. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.